Come on, thing, let's go. All right. So let's find my, there we go. So this test 3 is more, it's the final test in the series, and it can be taken in any order, but it's more about kind of prepping people to go into management, or what ISM thinks should be in management. And ISM basically is an industry average for the Fortune 500, what all those purchasing departments are doing. So think of it as an industry average and you'll be okay. All right, so participate in organization-wide objective setting. So supply management organization, mission, processes, and capabilities. So supply management mission, I've seen one that was written for PACCAR in like 2007. I'll show it to you, but we don't generally operate with one. There's a PACCAR mission, we'll get to that. So traditional view of purchasing is that their primary role is to obtain goods in response to internal needs. So that's a responsive mode. That's your basic buyer. Today's environment, it's better to be proactive, where you're studying the market and trying to bring new things back to the company, innovative ideas. So a greater portion of responsibility for managing key business processes is shifted to suppliers, and via purchasing, we'll need to manage those relationships. So we're always looking for new and good ideas from the supply base. So here they did a study. They've got a group, ISM has got a group that they work in conjunction with the University of Arizona in Phoenix. It's called CAPS, or Center for Advanced Purchasing Studies, and they do all these little studies. This is one they did on the 5 most common purchasing missions. And this is from 2007 and 2015. You can see 2007 is pretty general. By 2015, they're getting to be a little more specific. And if you looked at them today, they're probably even more so. PACCAR purchasing mission. So this is from 2007. It was up on one of the websites, but they're trying to cover like everything here. And it's just too long. So a mission needs to be something that people have a shot at being able to remember. This one just tries to cover everything, but it is something that they actually wrote at one time for PACCAR purchasing in about 2007. Processes at supply management. And so this is what ISM calls it. They don't call it purchasing or procurement nowadays. The in vogue term is supply management. Commodity strategy development, supplier relationships, spend analysis, demand management, supplier evaluation, contracts, procure to pay, which is basically your ERP system. Corporate social responsibility is becoming more popular. It's really popular with the consumer or companies that sell directly to the consumers. Life cycle support, strategic sourcing, market intelligence, inventory management. Typical stuff that purchasing and supply management gets involved with. Capabilities, purchasing executives should have complete knowledge of the capabilities of their department. Yeah, sure. Or they should be able to know where to find the information. Gap analysis should be performed to identify areas where existing capabilities are not sufficient to cover requirements. What they're really talking about here is training, I think. And supply-based management, purchasing typically performs the selection, development, and maintenance of the supply. So it requires keep abreast of current conditions. This is what a commodity manager ideally should do. Know what's going on in the market, ensure suppliers are competitive, ID new suppliers, and improve the existing ones. Those are, in general, what we want our CMs to be doing. And purchasing can also work cross-functionally to the benefit of the company. So this is when you're working with engineering and materials and quality. on different issues, trying to do cost savings or bring new products into market. Definition of customer requirements. Purchasing must meet customer requirements while fulfilling its mission. So internal customers, company internal departments that need information from the supply base include things like buying products at the correct price, buying from the correct source, getting quality level from the suppliers, on-time delivery, and getting the products to the correct internal customers. In a service industry, this becomes a lot more complicated. And then external customers. So purchasing needs to know what their wants are, but what the customer is willing to pay for. So they know kind of what the customer wants, but what is customer really willing to pay for? Those are the kind of things that we need to go out to the supply base and start looking around for. It needs to be knowledgeable customer requirements and how we're meeting those needs. So what's the impact on purchasing? So if we're Walmart, we're buying from one supply base. If we're Nordstrom, we're buying from an entirely different supply base. And purchasing's role can range anywhere from assuring quality and quantity of production parts to identifying new materials and products that could better meet the customer's needs. So alignments of visions and missions. So vertical alignment, that's pretty straightforward. So all of these individual missions for these groups need to support the top mission. Everybody's pulling their oar in the same direction. Where it gets problematic is across horizontal alignment. So for instance, logistics down on floor 2 is usually going to be rated on how cost for what it costs to provide the logistics, which usually is how full are those trucks, especially with LTL or full truckload. Operations, if you look at materials, they're usually under operations. Materials is usually rated on inventory turnover, or how efficiently we're using our inventory in relation to our cost of goods sold. So if we're sitting on inventory, the turnover is going to drop. But what these guys are going to try to do to meet their needs is pull material forward to fill the trucks, which is going to abuse these guys because now the material is sitting on the dock for a week or two doing nothing. So that's where they're talking about you got to align the goals horizontally. You can't have these guys competing against one another. It doesn't do you any good. Corporate processes and organizational dynamics. So know who carries the most weight in the company. In a manufacturing company, engineering or manufacturing, well, also accounting, are usually the heavyweights. In a service company, it's usually marketing. And senior management teams, which member of the senior management team, who does what, who are the executive VPs, who's Brennan's boss, who are the general managers of Kenworth and Peterbilt, who are the aces, and who are the different division material managers. As a commodity manager, you should know who these people are. Need to show how proposals will support the goals of the companies, and purchasing needs to look at plans from a total cost perspective. Usually we're pretty good about that here. And then we get into influence. So the degree of pull purchasing has in the company is directly related to how the other business functions perceive purchasing as an integral part of and contributor to the overall success of the company. So you've all run into engineers that don't think purchasing does much for us. But purchasing must be seen as an equal partner in company operations and developments. And too often purchasing develops plans that do not support the overall company goals. This is a problem. Like I said, if you're Walmart, don't be shopping at Nordstrom supply base. It's not going to help things. Purchasing has not generally been part of senior management since it's been viewed as a tactical function. And that's really not true so much anymore, especially in the Fortune 500 companies. And senior management has been slow to recognize the contribution a world-class purchasing department can make to the company. but it's changed pretty dramatically over the last 10 or 15 years. Many companies now integrate purchasing and strategic planning process. I know this one does. Purchasing must market themselves to the rest of the company, especially if you're in a service company. And 3 influential tactics that a leader may choose from. So when you have an argument, you can argue logic, target the listener's rational intellectual positions. You can appeal to their emotions, work some emotional motivators such as the need to belong, purchasing is providing a service, purchasing can support their well-being. And then finally, a cooperative effort, build a connection between the other group and purchasing. So here's your 3: logic, emotion, and cooperation. And here's some techniques you can use. The ones in red are, I think, the most common ones, are the easiest to implement, maybe. And then here's an article on 3 ways to master influence. It's a couple pages long. And then tools of influence, reciprocity. So reciprocity would be, well, yellow freight isn't there anymore, but night trucking. So night trucking buys PACCAR trucks, but we also buy services from night trucking. So that's reciprocity. Authority, consensus, liking, scarcity, some definitions and some examples. Some of the ways you can make arguments. Some primary questions supply management needs to address: how can we better support the goals of the internal business partner, be it materials or engineering? How can we effectively challenge their assumptions and thinking while also remaining open to learning from them? So when engineering gives us a RPI and they need the answer in 2 weeks, it's going to take the supply base 5 weeks to just get the numbers together. Shifting supply management from traditional paradigm to the new paradigm, help increase influence supply management has in the organization. So traditional paradigm, cost reductions, supply security. New paradigm is solving business problems, competitive pressure, supplier collaboration. ISM is very big on supplier collaboration and not pressuring suppliers. And that probably works in a new technology industry that is growing rapidly because the pie's expanding every year and it's easy to have the whole win-win thing going on. We are in a traditional, old style industry. It's cyclical, and a lot of times $1 out of our pocket or $1 in the supplier's pocket is $1 out of our pocket. So it's not as easy to negotiate in this industry as it is in maybe the cell phone industry 10 years ago. Organizational dynamics, internal negotiations and synergies, the process by which changes are made and budgets are developed. So whether a purchasing executive can successfully negotiate a change to the supply chain internally will depend on the executive's knowledge of the preceding paragraphs. And synergy is a cooperation situation where 2 or more parts come together that result in the whole being larger than the 2 parts. Purchasing acting with other functions can realize much greater results than it can on its own. And, we need to combine volumes across the company, and cross-functional development teams can bring a product to the market much quicker than just marketing or engineering. All right, so at the end of each of these, we have some questions that I do with the group, and then we have some questions that I'll put on the chat that we do individually and go over the answers. So this is the first of the group questions. You're a retailer of leisure products, and business has suffered over many years due to a soft economy. Market pressures have forced your firm to lower prices. At a press conference this morning, your CEO stated, in spite of lower sale prices and the poor economy, We are on target to increase profits and expect to beat analyst projected earnings due to our vision to be the most streamlined and efficient supplier of fairly priced quality leisure products. So given this information as the head of supply management, what is the most appropriate mission statement for the department? And you guys kind of look through these. Usually you can eliminate two of the answers as being wrong. And then you got to pick between two.
Do you want us to call out?
Yeah, just give me a guess.
B.
Yeah, I like that one. And interesting enough, the right answer is often the longest answer with ISM.
Oh.
Anybody else got any other guesses? Let's see what ISM says is the right answer. I kind of like B. B it is. Again, it's one of the longer answers, so that's usually the way that goes. All right, one more. You're the head of supply management in the corporate office of a decentralized organization. Your strategic goal is to have 90% of your company's spend under uniform management processes within 5 years. To accomplish this task, you'll need to influence others to follow strict bidding and contract processes. What is the most appropriate way for you to accomplish this goal?
A.
Yeah, it's always touchy-feely with ISM, right? We'll be nice to everybody and they'll be nice back to us. Not always the case, but you know, let's see what the answer is. A it is. All right, let me load up some questions for us. Let's see, I gotta get it in the right thing here. Chat. Where's my chat? There it is. And I'll attach this. We're gonna go down here. 2018 exam questions, exam 3, 3A1. All right, so you guys can pull those down. I think there are, how many questions are there? Shouldn't be more than 5 or 6, I don't think. 8, well, there's 9. But work on them. We'll go over the answers in about 5 minutes. So at 3:56, get as far as you can. And Aaron, you're rocking. Okay. All right, we'll go over some answers real quick. And I've also put these in the chat so you can look at them later. Number one is alpha. Supply professional is most effective when he or she can influence others. 2 is delta, synergy. 3 is bravo, because deciding which firm's approach is right and you're looking for a least may not be as productive. They don't do a lot of these double negative questions anymore, but they're always good for practice. 4 is Charlie. Being prepared with knowledge and previous efforts may help in answering questions, but is less important. This is another least. 5 is Alpha. Company wants to be a top quality and best service. This means continuity of supply. 6 is Charlie, because the supply management executives suspect there are some shortfalls in the departmental capabilities in order to execute approved department missions successfully. 7 is Bravo, because in a service organization, marketing will usually carry the most weight. And 8 is Delta. Problem the CEO is having is that departments are writing their mission statements in a vacuum instead of coordinating and aligning their missions with other departments. 9 is Alpha. Achieve its goals, supply management professional must be able to influence others. And that is the end of that. So tomorrow we'll work on 3A2. And that's all I got for you guys today. See ya.
Thank you, Rick.